You would like to talk about the Bad Batch? Are you talking about season 2, episode 7, the clone conspiracy, and not just one Bad Batch episode, but 2 Bad Batch episodes?
That's right.
Episode 8, Truth and Consequences.
Before
and let me
dive
just
in,
say,
can I say one thing real quick?
No.
I think it
so
is,
like I was saying, no, just
I think it's hilarious that we're of the mind. I think the three of us, we're kind of the mindset that before we put, go to stream or go to record something, we try to have everything like ready to go, right? Try to be
we
prepared,
usually do,
watch the
yeah.
episodes.
Yeah.
I turned on YouTube today, and Ryan Airy has to start off with an apology. I didn't know there's going to be 2 episodes.
Oh, welcome, TG. Always a pleasure having you here. Wonderful stream today. So it looked like you had fun. I still feel like I was robbed, not winning any of the monies today, but I still had a good time. One of TG's subscribers won like 4 or 5 times. He's
Wow.
It was a good stream today.
Nice.
Unfortunately, my 9 to 5 kept bugging me and making me do meetings and work and stuff, so I couldn't enjoy it as much. But
Sounds about right.
it was a good time. Okay. But we are talking the Bad Batch. We got 2 episodes. We got the clone conspiracy and we got Truth or Consequences. And I loved the fact that they got to what we have wanted to see about this show since it really came out. I mean, we're seeing the political landscape of this just formed galactic empire. We're seeing how bad it is for the clones because obviously we knew the clones were gone, or at least most of them with the New Hope and everything else. So it's nice to see where it's going and how even an episode without the Bad Batch in episode 7, I mean, I was still pretty enthralled with that whole thing. When we saw that bounty hunter that, oh my God, what was his name?
Oh.
The Admiral, Rampart, Admiral Rampart.
Right.
When he hired that, I did not think it was a clone. I first thought, I wonder if this is Boba Fett. Like his first sort of time as a bounty hunter. I quickly dismissed that because I'm like, he wouldn't be that old here because he seemed pretty tall. And then I started thinking, God, who else could it be? But I never once thought it was going to be another clone. And when we found out that they had hidden his like clone number so the others couldn't tell who he was, I was like, there's a lot of interesting things here that they're kind of putting out there that they can really capitalize on later.
Was it just me, or did he look a little younger? Like maybe he was a newer clone?
He did look a little younger.
I thought he looked the same, but except for no facial markings, like Rex said.
No, but like for a second, for a brief minute, they did trick me, and I thought it was Crosshair.
Ooh.
The whole sniper thing. I was like, oh man, he's really all in. Okay, he's going full on Empire. Because I really figured it would be a continuation of his story. And I thought, okay, yeah, of course, it's going to be him that's trying to take these people out.
And oh no, what was I going to say? Oh, but it was it was really good too, seeing that the clones, who especially the ones who were at Camino, and were part of the destroying of the cities.
Slip and who was the other one?
What was his name? I thought I wrote it down. Slip and Cade.
That's it. Slip and Cade.
Yeah.
And Slade. Little Teen Titans go for it. But yeah, them feeling terrible about it and feeling guilty about it. And it was nice seeing that even though they have this embedded chip, or most of them still have it, it's still their personality is coming up. And they're feeling bad about the things they did, and it definitely leads into what we've talked about many times. The clones are going to basically mutiny, and we know something probably very bad is going to happen to them all, especially if they kind of join together in some sort of rebellious group. I also thought, this was the other thing, I didn't think it was going to be Rex that showed up for Slip at the end of episode 1. I thought it was going to be Cody.
Oh yeah, that would have been good. We still don't know what happened to Cody officially.
Yeah, I didn't expect this first episode, the Clone Conspiracy. I didn't expect it to be basically void of the Bad Batch. I figured, you know, I didn't know that it was going to be like other characters, and I gotta say, I appreciate those episodes. When we get a chance to kind of like hang out with some other people, it feels sort of like a Clone Wars episode to me. We get to
Yeah.
explore other parts of the galaxy and see what other people are doing.
What
And
I
it
like
was
about
nice.
it's another kind of you know how we've been watching The Last of Us, and that whole episode with Ron Swanson. I can never remember his real name. Nick
Bill.
Offerman?
Yeah, Nick Offerman.
Yeah, that whole episode there, that's just like this one. I mean, I do like it when they do that, when they show somebody else's perspective and how it meets up with the main cast. I like it when they do that. I just didn't like it on the way they did it on The Last of Us. But on this one, I think they did it a great job.
Well, it was nice. They took the time to build out this story. I think it would have not been as good if they would have kind of rushed. All of a sudden, the Bad Batch is there, and like we got these clones on the run, and the senator. They really took the right amount of time, in my opinion, to build this up, and then Palpatine always being 2 steps ahead of them. I don't want to jump to the end of that last episode, but you know, you're thinking, oh right, these guys are getting over on him a little bit. This is going to be good. This is going to be good, and
You just twisted it.
Well,
You know, I forgot to look at the end of the episode. Was that Ian McDermott?
that was him.
Nice.
Yep.
And yeah, I
You know-
agree, fatherly fandom. I think we will get a redemption arc for Cody because he was a fan favorite.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what he did because of the chip in Revenge of the Sith, not so good. And yes, terrible gamer. I absolutely agree with you. That was a fantastic episode of The
So
Last of
good.
Us.
Dave hated it, but we loved it.
Yeah, I completely disagree. But that's
You
why we're
disagree?
here.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like the last episode of The Last of Us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Completely disagree.
Doug said Dave didn't like it. And you said I disagree.
No, I said I disagree to TG.
Oh, gotcha. Dr. Walker said you have earned immunity for the stream.
Yeah, I got back up out here. Yeah.
He said this stream.
Yeah, that's fine.
He
Well,
may
it's
still
supposed to-
turn on you.
So maybe we'll see if that changes when you tell us your thoughts on Daredevil. Maybe.
We're not talking Daredevil now. We're talking. Right?
It may come up. Who knows?
You never
You
know.
never know.
We
You never know.
But you know what? This episode too was very, very tension filled. That scene where the senator and Rampart were walking down the hall, him surprised that she's still alive, her knowing what he's doing was so great. They were both like keeping her cool, but you could tell the tension underneath of everything they said. They both basically know what's really going on and can't say anything. I was like, oh my god, that is quality television right there. How they did that with animation.
I had to look up who Senator Chuchi's voice actress was because Dave kind of mentioned this earlier. I thought it was the same voice actor as Omega. Like they sounded so similar. And so I looked it up. It's a VA by the name of Jennifer Hale. And the funny thing is, she is not from New Zealand. She's from Canada.
Oh, and TG, just so you know, Dave didn't like the last episode or episode 3.
Nope.
Yeah.
They're 2 for 4 on episodes.
Oh my! Hey, you know, fatherly fandom. That would be cool if Cody ends up sacrificing himself to save Obi-Wan. The only reason I don't think that'll happen is because Obi-Wan is on Tatooine looking after Luke, and as far as we know, the first time he's came off planet was in that show.
Yeah.
But I suppose Cody could last, you know, longer than that. We really don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, we're not gonna fight. We shall have a disagreement, though.
Fight.
Yeah, Yeah, they were extended music videos for Linda Ronstadt and Hank Williams. That's
You're right.
pretty
There was no emotion or nothing going on. It was just
I didn't see
extended
it.
videos. Tawny Katane was dancing on Corvettes. It was.
I don't give them credit for trying. I give them credit for pulling it off. Obviously, we know they're trying, but they didn't pull it off.
They executed it perfectly.
They did.
Not in mine.
But yes, and that's okay for us to disagree.
We are tangenting here. You gotta get the
Yes,
tangent
yes,
thing.
we got to
Well,
we got to drive back to the Bad Batch.
Yes, let's.
We're in Han's ship right now, and he's like he's trying to initiate the hyperspeed, and it's going. Wah, 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 wah.
Chewie, get on that. But it was nice, very enjoyable to see Rampart get what he deserved at the end of that second episode. Where he probably thought he was pretty safe because he was just following orders, but
Just like you said.
Yeah.
But he was set up by the Emperor, and what do you think the Emperor is going to do to him? That's what I was like. He thought he was on the right side of it, and he was just a pawn, and he's probably going to get his arms ripped off or something.
Well, you two remember when we had asked like two or three Bad Batch episodes ago, and we were like, hey, I wonder why we don't see more of Rampart. Well, I guess we found out why he doesn't show up in Rebels or anything.
But yeah, I still can't get over the fact that everyone thought a natural disaster took down Camino. Oh, a storm went through and destroyed all the cities.
Oh, I totally believe that.
It was like built to withstand being submerged, and they're like, "Oh, some rain took it out." Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
Keith?
Yeah, it said it survived thousands of storms in the history of the city, and one storm comes up and takes it out. Nah, that don't add up.
People in our country literally, truly believe that there are lizards in the government, lizard people running the government.
They're not?
I completely believe in a galaxy far, far away that some redneck on Tatooine, redneck water farmer's like, yeah, I heard that their Camino got washed away in a storm, and I believe it. Emperor Palpatine got my vote.
Yeah, they
Doug,
turn Mandalore into glass. They can do that to Camino. Me, I got an El Camino already.
okay. We have to. I think we have to go to tangent time real quick here. Let me make sure we got the right, because we're getting some blasphemy in the chat.
What?
And I just don't. For starters, Country Walker,
2 lines. I can't even see it. What's going on?
Pavement does not suck. They are the greatest band of the 90s. For those of you with any taste and culture, they were on Austin City Limits Sunday night. I recorded it. If anyone wants to come over and watch the best episode ever, they can.
I bet you'll have 0 people on that one.
Well, no, because a bunch of my friends already watched it. And Attack on Show, welcome. Always good to have you. And yes.
Wow, we got Fatherly Fandom and Attack on Show in here? What? Man, this is a star-studded stream, huh?
PG.
Man.
And here we go. Okay, Brie is not a lizard, Tundra Walker.
No, it's a cheese.
I know you're trying to get my goat. She may be a Skrull. We may find out that she's a Skrull. Doug is the the expert on Skrullies.
Keith, David
Yes,
and I are not Skrulls, okay? How many times do I have to tell you this?
A lot. And Doug, you also made a faux pas a few minutes ago.
Oh?
You said he was a water farmer. They're moisture farmers on Tatooine.
Why don't you push your glasses up a little bit further as you actually me? Technically, Doug, they're moisture farmers, okay? You have a bad motivator?
What you said is disrespectful to Lars, to all the Skywalkers. Oh, sorry. Tundra Walker corrected me. Tawny Katane was on a Jaguar, not on a Camaro.
Oh, for the Whitesnake video.
And while we're in tangent time, TG wants to know if Ant-Man will survive next week. I don't think he will.
We all
I mean,
we all agree on that, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that. I believe we did a sort of theory palooza, I think, of Ant-Man. I don't know. We were talking about one of the more recent trailers that had come out during one of the sports ball games, and we were talking about that back then. Yeah, it's unlikely that the three of us don't think that he's going to survive because we believe that they're going to try and make room for the newer Avengers, right? So it'll probably leave room for Cassie Lang, and she'll probably be trained by Wasp and things like that.
And you got to think too. I mean, if they really want to show how powerful Kang is, he's going to be the big bad for
because he's got to
Phase 5 and 6.
Yeah,
he's definitely probably Ant-Man will sacrifice himself to try to slow Kang down. But unfortunately, Scott Lang, if there's an Ant-Man 4, it's not going to be Scott Lang. It'll be the irredeemable Ant-Man or something else.
Yeah.
It would be funny if Hank Pym outlives him. I don't think Hank makes it through this movie either.
I didn't even think about that, but you're probably right.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that either. Wow. Dang. So we might be dealing with a couple of deaths in Ant-Man, and we were pretty sure we're going to be dealing with a couple of deaths in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah. It's
going to be some somber time.
Yes, it will.
And yes, he does have to do something to make everybody hate him, and really to show just how powerful he is. I mean, just him talking about killing Avengers, and I do like. Did you guys see that clip where he goes, "Are you the one that carries the hammer?" He goes, "No, that's Thor." And he goes, Unfortunately, I did a terrible service to Jonathan Majors, who is one of the finest actors out there right now. But that's going to be awesome. But let's get back. Let's get out of tangent time. After that blasphemy about pavement, we have a whole lot. First, it was nice seeing. They do a good job about reminding us every once in a while that Omega is just a kid. She was so giddy about being on the Senate and looking over and seeing all the things that was going on.
What? Why? Why did they let her do that?
I don't know.
She was a guest of Chuchi.
But doesn't she have a bounty on her? Like maybe like don't be in the middle of like one of the most public places where a lot of people who want you dead can see you there.
And then to compound that,
I was a little surprised at the way that Kaminoan reacted to her being there. She acted like she didn't even act like she recognized her.
Not all of them may have known that she even existed, though.
But she said she was a clone to her. Now, she may have been playing it cool, like, I was just giving a huge piece of information. I now know where Omega is, at least right now, and who she's hanging out with, which, if she provides information to get Omega back, that's probably going to be a huge little payday for her. When she first said, "Oh, I'm a clone too," I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Should not have said that. Should not.
Hunter would have been very upset if he would have been there and heard that.
Now, if you were her, what was her name? Ern Sa or something like that. What was her name? The Kaminoan. Whatever.
God, I forgot her name.
If you were the last of your species, if the rest of your planet was gone and your species was scattered across the universe, I mean, I can't see her getting enthused about anything. Like, I don't want to fix the universe. I just don't give a shit anymore.
She did seem like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, why was she a disgraced senator again? What did she do?
She probably stood up for clone rights or something. I don't think they ever said that I know of.
Oh, okay.
What she did.
Wow. Yeah, I thought when they said that there was a disgraced Kaminoan senator, I'm like, really? Shit, what the hell? What's that story about?
They did say, but they said it really quickly of what she did.
Huh.
Like, yeah, it was something simple, like she stood up for the clones or something.
Or they said,
Senator Hal Bertoni.
Is that Hal or Hallie? As in Halle Berry? Halle Bertoni?
That would be kind of funny.
They probably told her, well, since there's really no more people on your planet, you don't deserve a seat anymore. Oh.
Probably.
Oh, that'd be so cruel. But it would totally be
Well,
something the Emperor would do.
didn't they say in Revenge of the Sith that Palpatine had dissolved the Senate? So
That
this
was
is
at the
happening-
beginning of A
In
New Hope.
Oh, beginning of A New Hope. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was like one of the arguments when they were on the Death Star. They said, the Imperial Senate won't stand for this. And that's when Tarkin walked in and said, the Imperial Senate won't be an issue anymore. The Emperor has just dissolved them. Well, who
Yes.
will govern the planets? The local governors will have direct command.
That was good, Doug. And yes, Attack on Show, every time I see the Senate chamber, I look for ETs. Every
Yeah.
time.
Yes. Any Star Trek character as well, I look for.
And there was a story in Clone Wars about it. She was in line with the banking clan. Okay.
Oh, whoops.
Now
And in
I
Clone
remember
Wars,
that.
The banking clan was with the Separatists during Clone Wars, right?
They were doing shady things.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yep, Palpatine was keeping the Senate for control over the galaxy until his Death Star was ready.
Yeah. And then once they knew that it worked, I guess he didn't need him anymore. And the way that he comes in at the end of this episode, he just kind of proclaims, makes a proclamation that they're going to be switching to stormtroopers. So it's like you don't really need him in this episode either.
Well, and I like too when he's like, but we still have to talk about the clones just following these orders.
Yeah.
We can't trust them. And I think he got the votes after that. He knew how to manipulate them.
The orders that he programmed into them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Execute.
The fact
That's his foresight. That's his planning. He's a big planner, that guy.
using the good soldiers follow orders to really ruin the clones.
Yeah, use it against
Chef's
him.
kiss on all of your plans.
If only Padme were there so she could say, this is how democracy dies. But she was
Attack on Show says, can they give Echo a damn robot arm already? Well, the arm he's using is pretty effective for him. He knows what he's doing with it, He's
But if
just
he had a hand and he could take it off and have that other thing, that would be equally effective.
He's
Boy,
more
now
machine
he doesn't
now
have to
than
take it off.
man.
It's like right there. He's ready to go.
But speaking of Echo, now that he is with Rex, I hope we're going to see things that him and Rex are doing, together, whether it's bringing clones together, whether it's so. I like that they are, even though it is the Bad Batch series, we see, from other people's perspectives. Because with the Clone Wars, we get episodes with Obi, with Anakin, with Padme, with droids. So I really hope they do that same thing here, and maybe we get a little bit, plot threads running Echo and Rex, and then the rest of the Bad Batch, and it all kind of meets somewhere down the line. But we do know, unfortunately, that Echo doesn't stay with Rex because we know Rex was not
about to ask. Because come time for Rebels, we've got Rex and Wolf and who's the other guy? I don't remember.
Gregor,
right? We've got Rex, Wolf, and Gregor. We don't have Echo, so either Echo goes back to the Bad Batch at some point, or he doesn't make it.
Yeah,
I'm curious what the chat thinks. What do you all think? What's the more probable? Is it that he just doesn't make it and he dies, or is it that he ends up back with the Bad Batch and we'll see his story in those episodes instead?
I had a thought that with all of the bonding that Omega and Echo had in this episode, I think because he's, more machine than man, I think he is going to be wherever Echo ends up after the Bad Batch, during the rebellion and all that. I think Echo is going to be with her. I think the rest of the Bad Batch, because I kind of agree with the Attack on Show, the Bad Batch isn't really interesting enough to carry an entire show themselves. And I think they're going to not make it to Rebels, to A New Hope, but I think Echo is going to be with Omega. And he's going to be the one that helps her, and they're going to be working together if we ever do see her in live action during, the time 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
I would like to see Tech make it though. After I will say, while I didn't like the racing episode that much, just getting his little bit of character development there, I do have more appreciation for him now.
But
Now,
with them,
do
it's
we know,
almost like they're. Go ahead, Dave.
do we know how many seasons the show is going, or is it like year to year?
We have not heard.
Yeah,
I hope
think
it's a
I
few
think
more
Disney
because
I think Disney is just like, we'll see how it does, and we'll renew it as as we see the numbers, and we'll decide if it's worth keeping around.
Yeah, it seems like the show is doing well enough that it should get a third season.
Hopefully, it's just animation isn't cheap, and I know that the mouse needs his cash. So,
they are laying off 7,000 people.
ugh.
So yeah, we don't know where that's going. But I think Dave Filoni and them will want to keep it going as long as they have stories for it. We don't know what their end game is to tell with this show. We thought coming in it was going to be a lot about the politics and the new empire, and we've been getting that. We've been getting Indiana Jones and Uncharted and Mario Kart episodes. So they're doing some different things, but I do think they have one major thing to kind of tell, and I do think it is the story of the clones post Order 66 and really what happens to them.
Yeah. Well, now that they are going to be, now that the Emperor made his proclamation, they're going to be switching over to stormtroopers. Like, what are they going to do with them all? Like, that's a lot of clones still. I mean, we know that one of them will apparently end up being homeless and begging for money in his helmet, and I'm guessing that's the only clothes he has is his uniform, which that sucks.
And we know
He's
the
down
defense.
for some planet.
We know the Defense Act gives them some, pension and some other things. Why didn't this guy get it? That poor guy's begging for food.
Did they actually get a pension though? Or was that pocketed for something else?
They won't be getting any of that. I thought that was a little kind of subtle jab at our system here. Is what I thought it was.
Most of Star Wars, when they dive into the politics, it usually is. That was what George Lucas was all about. Most of the original trilogy was about the Vietnam War.
Oh yeah, Vietnam, huh?
Yep, and that's why he wanted to do Ewoks instead of. It was originally going to be in Kashyyyk, and then he decided, no, let's do something small and cuddly instead of these big, strong Wookiees, because I want to make it seem more improbable, where you've got these unassuming little teddy bear people, and they're going to totally demolish the Empire. He said it would be how people thought of the North Vietnamese, like, oh, we'll take them out. They're just they're living in the jungle. They're no big deal. We're against the U.S. Army, please, we've got this, and then kind of got our butts kicked.
Wow, and I didn't see that, but Attack on Show is saying Disney Plus lost 1.2 million subscribers.
Oh, no kidding! I didn't know that.
In what, last year, or in what time frame?
That's a good question. But I do hope that when March 1st rolls around with The Mandalorian Season 3, maybe those numbers jump up a little bit. Because I know a lot of people will subscribe for a bit for shows they want, and then when there's nothing really on there they want to watch, they, take it out. So maybe this lull in live action Star Wars and Marvel has kind of got some people to pause their subscription for a while.
I'm betting it'll jump back up when Mandalorian comes back up.
Yeah,
a lot of people, even non-regular Star Wars fans, love The Mandalorian. My dad loves The Mandalorian, and that's weird.
Yeah, so for 2 months I'll have a big boost, and and if you like Star Wars like we do,
Yeah, that happens with Netflix though too, with Stranger Things and some of their big shows.
yeah.
Well, it was funny because, my daughter was like, "Did you see Stranger Things had the most like streamed minutes of any show last year?" I'm like, "Yeah, because each episode was like 7 hours."
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, God.
Oh, whoa.
The show is lengthy.
They reported a loss of 2.4 million in today's quarterly report.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Okay.
From
I
October.
guess that
to
explains.
I will
Probably
bet it's-
explains.
Go ahead, Keith.
I was just saying it probably explains why we heard about 7,000 layoffs at Disney here too.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet that it's because of the quantity over quality in the last couple of years, and then now they're going to start focusing on quality over quantity. I bet they'll get people back.
I hope
even
so.
Those that you guys like, that I might not. You got to admit there's some filler episodes in there. You know, that's probably what the people are not liking. It's just a theory.
You know, some people like filler episodes. I mean, think about it. The fact that, you know, most of these series shows has been nice. It's only been 6 or 8 episodes, or, you know, Netflix did 13 where they did get some, but it's not like guaranteed 22 episodes every season like we were getting on network television for so long.
Yeah.
So, you know, they can tighten up the writing a little bit. And I sometimes think, you know, all of these little filler episodes are going to come back and be important later on. Like, Fee and her treasure hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, that. I agree. I hope it comes back up and it means something.
Yeah, Boba Fett was, outside of the Mandalorian episodes, was pretty disappointing. You know, we get to see, I think they made a mistake in showing him how bad, you know, what a great character he is and how tough and talented and all these things in the Mandalorian episode when he's taking on, you know, all of the, I don't remember who he was fighting in the Mandalorian episode when Grogu called out to Cal Kestis. Were they fighting? Oh, it was Moff Gideon's Death Troopers and stuff. But he was like blowing ships out of the sky. No, but that's what I'm saying. They did such a good job of showing him how, you know, badass he is, taking out all this stuff. And then we get to the Book of Boba Fett and he's, you know, taking, I almost said treasure baths, but he's in the back of the tank and, you know, going back. And while some of that was kind of interesting, it really just seemed like a break from what the character has and is. Yeah, I thought Obi-Wan was better than Book of Boba Fett too, but still had some issues. You know, it was, oh my God, Ewan McGregor. I almost forgot his name. I thought it was fabulous, but, you know, some of the, like when they were walking out with the kid under his jacket from the, it was...
That was kind of dumb.
Yeah, that was horrible writing. I mean, like they wouldn't notice anything out of the ordinary like that. That was just, like I say, that's the, some of these series you can tell that, like, it's not the A squad writers. You know, they're the guys just starting out. You know, Obi-Wan could have been a lot better.
You know, in Attack on Show, you know, mature, but I went into the Book of Boba Fett thinking it might be a little more mature and adult, like he's running a crime syndicate. And more of the politics and stuff. We got a little bit of that, but not enough. I thought it was going to be more, you know, like Sopranos and Godfather and keeping track of your thing, and it just kind of didn't go that way. But I still love the
best
character.
part of that show, I thought, was Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
No, I agree.
Doug, you look like you don't agree. You look like you're having a Bane thought.
No, I'm not. I agree. If you're waiting on me.
No, yeah. Probably fandom makes a good point. Filoni has been focusing on Ahsoka, hasn't written this season of The Bad Batch. I'm sure he's been consulted a little bit, and he didn't really write Obi-Wan, so yeah. I think...
I don't think he's involved in Obi-Wan. I think he's, that's the old crew, the Kathleen Kennedy and her bunch.
The first one, I did earlier.
Well, we can still hear everything going on there, Keith. All right, everybody, you're hearing about the whole...
he may have muted it on Twitch. We may hear it on Zoom.
Oh, well, we can keep talking.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to get to hear you talk about Bane. But
well, when we get there.
Keith, did you mute Twitch for that? Because we all heard it.
Yeah. OBS was muted, but
that's what I thought.
You guys heard it.
I figured as much.
My wife was helping my daughter with her math homework, so I
Not
have work to do at the end of the stream.
So let's see here. What as far as the Bad Batch goes, let's see. We have talked about, kind of talked about the. Oh, here's something that I wanted to bring up that we kind of skipped past. So when going back to that clone assassin, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you too because I don't remember this showing up in any of the Clone Wars episodes. But when he did the whole, long live the Empire thing, and then he bit down on his like electric capsule thing, the like little give him a mouth electric chair. The only time that I've seen that so far has been in The Mandalorian. Did that show up anywhere in the Clone Wars?
Not that I remember.
I was going to say, I remember it with that one officer in the Clone Wars when Bo-Katan was questioning him, trying to find out where Moff Gideon was. And he said the same thing. He goes, "Long live the Empire." And then he's dead. And so I'm starting to wonder, like, are we going to start seeing some of these, like, are these, like, people that are, like, super duper dedicated to the Emperor? Are these, like, some sort of cult members that they're literally willing to die for the Emperor? Because now this is the second time we've seen it, at least that I'm aware of.
Now, I thought that maybe there was another chip in the clone assassin. And that's why he was willing to do this, because that was out of character for the clones.
But again, like I said, we saw that just regular officer dude in The Mandalorian do it too. So
No,
I don't know
I know,
if that
but
was chip controlling him, or is Palpatine now experimenting with putting chips in regular people?
I just think
Or are these people just super dedicated?
some of the clones maybe had chips to be that dedicated, because we know that who they were, who they're based off of, probably wouldn't be that way. But I think some of these other people, especially the guy in The Mandalorian, was just so dedicated to the Empire and everything else that he was just a fanatic.
Huh.
And yeah, it was a nice callback to that. That was interesting to see if we see more clones with their number and CT numbers wiped away and doing bad things, and maybe there's a whole little batch of clones that we're going to see that
could be an even badder batch.
Yeah, but do you guys know what CT means?
Clone Trooper.
Clone Trooper.
Yeah. It wasn't a big reveal. I just wanted to know.
I was wondering, like, does it mean something other than Clone Trooper? Is it something I don't know?
Well, Attack on Show says, big question, where's Rex's helmet? Did he leave it on the planet where Ahsoka crashed the ship they were on?
He might have.
Have it after that.
I don't know if I've seen... Did he wear it in that episode of the end of the first season of The Bad Batch?
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either.
Well, we are going...
He may have completely shed everything, related to being a clone.
We're going straight to Lucasfilm with this. Where is Rex's helmet? We need Rex's helmet.
That sort of looked like... was that his? They looked like they were in Stormtrooper armor.
No,
in Rebels?
Slightly different.
In Rebels, yeah.
They were a little bit thinner.
Oh, here. Was it? Okay, I couldn't remember. I don't know. They killed some clones and stole their stuff.
Yeah, it did seem weird he wasn't wearing his helmet to get on that ship.
Oh, and did you notice that they didn't kill anybody? They were just firing stun.
Yeah, they're using stun again. I still go back and forth on that. I don't know if this is, we don't want to kill our brothers. We're not going to kill. I don't know if it's like this, or if it's okay, guys, this has got to be PG-13. We literally gave you an entire show where you had a robot droid going around murdering everything in sight. We cannot do that again. Less killing.
You know what?
It almost
makes me want to see if they mention why they do it.
I think they will, because we saw the clone trooper killing other clones, and we do see killing in this, so I don't think it's trying to be PG or anything.
Attack on Show. Stun gun, but then blew up the ships. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I guess if you can't see a face, maybe that's why You're allowed to blow up a ship because you can't see who's in it.
Yeah, they're probably not clones.
God.
But yeah, they really did. But the thing I was laughing about too, when she came forward, I got some, Bail Organa comes up and hands her, here's some information about what really happened. Wait, we just had a shipyard destroyed
Uh-huh.
with his ship, and all of a sudden you come up with this, his command code. I'm like, I think we should talk to Bail Organa about how he got this information. He knows something. I mean, no one put those two pieces of information together? Come on, Empire.
The Emperor just did not care. He's like, this is so insignificant. I already have this under control. I don't need to worry about stuff like that.
Yeah, he had this like it was going to go his way one way or the other. It was either Rampart was going to succeed in convincing them to vote on the bill, or the Emperor was going to come up and do it himself and say, well, they're following orders. I can't be trusted, and do his whole thing. So it was going to happen one way or the other. Like,
I was
there
gonna
was
say,
no doubt.
he eventually got what he wanted. So
Yeah, and I think he always planned on getting what he wanted. And I'm really glad. I am actually really glad that they showed that, because one of my biggest gripes about Rebels, other than the fact that I dislike Ezra so much, is the fact that the Empire, other than Thrawn, seemed dumb. Like, they lost so often. Like, I was waiting for them to, like, at one point say, like, when they're like, oh, well, we gotta sneak in, better steal some stormtrooper costumes, and I was waiting for someone to look at Ezra and be like, bro, you've got like 12 of them in your room. We do this all the time. We're good. Like, they're so good at trampling the Empire that I'm glad they show them actually being successful or smart in a way, being able to, like, they should be a scary thing, The fact that we've got to have the Rebel Alliance scrambling to figure out how to stop them in Rogue One and in A New Hope and everything, like, somehow they had to have gotten that way. And so I am thankful for these episodes like this.
It's nice too that they actually, are moving away from the clones, because obviously they're based on Jango Fett, who was a great shot, and all these other things. They had to do something to explain why stormtroopers could not hit anything with their blaster rifles. So they're probably like, we just got to get rid of the clones. They can't be stormtroopers, or it'll be, a huge plot hole. Yeah.
I've always wondered when that was written in the original script in A New Hope, where Obi-Wan says to Luke, "Oh yes, your father was a great knight," and or when Leia says, "You served my father during the Clone Wars" and everything. It's like, I wonder what George Lucas had in mind. Like, what was the original story with the Clone Wars, or was it like just a throwaway comment? I want to look that up one day. Like, I want to figure out, like, what did he imagine back then in the 70s? What did he think the Clone Wars would be?
So
That's a good question.
Bail Organa at that point. I said she thought her father was Bail Organa at that point.
I assume that's what Lucas planned. I don't think at that point by A New Hope, I don't think he planned for her to have been adopted or anything like that.
Right. I agree.
Well, no, and that's true, Attack on Show, but he always has a plan for why it does. It can't just be him dissolving it. This can be one point of evidence he uses. Look, Bail Organa got this evidence by blowing up a ship, killing all these people. He's getting evidence, so when he disbands the Senate, he says, sorry, I had to do it. This is what these people are doing. They're traitors, just like the Jedi. So he's just, gathering as much information he can against all these people to eventually disband the Senate and have reasons.
And actually, he didn't even need that at the point where he did it.
He probably just wanted to.
He's being nice. I'll give you a reason. Sure, what the heck?
It's all the hate from the people on the docks who have to clean up that destroyed ship. All that hate and anger just feeds him the dark side. Tell me more about cleaning up those blanks. I had to clean up all these parts. He's just feeling all that, getting swole with dark side.
Swole.
He really is master of the long con.
Yeah,
I mean, I always loved.
He planned it out for like 30, 40 years. He was on it.
I wonder if any of that plan was, sorry, a little bit of his master's Darth Plagueis to Wise. And Palpatine just stole it
Young
from him.
Anakin, have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Yeah, I heard it. Oh.
Oh,
Well, okay. Yeah, I gotta go now. Well, the
Go
space
see
opera's
Bob.
just getting started. Yeah, I've already seen this one. All right. Shit, goodbye. If Anakin had a bit more foresight.
Yeah. No, and I do think they did have a different Emperor's voice for some of the Clone Wars things.
Oh, they definitely did.
yeah.
Can't remember who it
I think I
was.
talked about that on Twitter. They had, for the final season, it was Tim Curry, and I thought that was a terrible Emperor voice. Because it was so different. It was so weird. And it was Ian something else. There was another Ian who did it, but he passed away. I don't remember what his full name was.
But you look at it, Anakin didn't have any foresight, even as Darth Vader, because he would always say the Emperor has foreseen it. He hasn't he never said I foresaw anything. He always said this is what the Emperor wanted. So he was just all emotion. He had no calm foresight, I don't think.
Ian Ever. That was his name.
And yes, I've heard that is an incredible book, and I want to read it, even though it is not considered canon anymore. But hopefully, Filoni and Favreau and everybody else can kind of sneak that into canon again. Because I remember when the book came out, I always wanted to read it. I don't know why I haven't yet, but the fact that I didn't know he wanted to end the rule of two. Also, what did?
I said, don't let Keith fool you. He can't read.
Well, that's why it's not on.
I had him tricked, Dave, and you had to go in.
Oh, sorry. I'm in the inner circle now. I'm not.
You're out.
I blew it.
Did you? What was it? Was that absolutely?
Absolutely.
I thought I heard you mumble and absolutely through a laugh.
All right. I think maybe I had.
Tried to sneak it in there. Thought we wouldn't hear you.
Well, I can talk like this. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine there, David.
But before we move on to the Harley Quinn Valentine's Day special, anything else on the Bad Batch that you gentlemen would like to discuss?
Let's see here. We talked about the sniper. We talked about Senator Chuchi. Good seeing her again after not seeing her since the Clone Wars. Talked about how she sounded similar to Omega, and I really truly thought it was the same voice actress, because I thought the animators were like, when they had her talking to Omega, and it was like looking at her, and I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. And then when I looked it up, I'm like, oh, it's different voice actors? That's weird. I thought that's what they were doing. I thought they were like, wink, wink, nod, nod, but that's not at all it. Also, so we learned that Doug can't tell the difference between a Canadian and a New Zealander, so that's great. I guess that makes me a racist. That's great.
You're voice racist.
I'm a voice racist. Let's see. We talked about talked about Rex coming back. Talked about Cade and Slip. Let's see.
Wait, Fatherly Fandom makes a good point, and I forgot. I wanted to talk about this too.
Right. I forgot about that too. She's totally.
She's like, I can't do it like Gunji, but it's like, okay, you're going to get there. I think without a doubt, they've been leaving enough subtle hints that she is force sensitive that we are going to find out.
If it turns out she isn't, I'm going to be so mad.
And just so you know, there's an episode coming up. Let me look which one. That is called Metamorphosis. It is on March 1st, the same day as the thing. It's about what?
Caterpillar. It's going to completely...
Okay, that's the entire episode.
Yeah, the entire episode is going to be a caterpillar, and we'll see it open
or it'll be the metamorphosis of Echo getting that robot arm. Yeah, that's right. I brought it.
Yes, thank God. Thank God.
Way to go, man. You brought it all together.
But if it does come out this season that she is force sensitive, imagine the bounty is going to go up about 100 times. Because who?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we can assume we know that her handlers on Camino knew, if she is. But who else knew? Was this something that Emperor or Chancellor Palpatine set up as part of his somehow I'm going to return plan down the road because he needed a force sensitive clone? Who do we think will have all known this if it does come out?
Well, now the Bad Batch they got all their chits removed, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank goodness. I was about to say, if one of them springs into all of a sudden, good soldiers follow orders because Omega's practicing with the Force. Ugh.
I mean, even Crosshair had his removed, right? And he still went that way.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Crosshair's just
But I
a
think
point.
I was gonna say Doug knew that the rest of the Bad Batch wouldn't turn on Omega unless they had chips. I think was his point. And yes, one of the episodes is called The Summit. I don't know if that's referring to Mount Tantus or not, but
That's that other cloning facility, right?
Oh no, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So I thought.
The mount, you have summit of a mountain.
Yep.
yeah.
Do we
So I think
see
we're
her-
gonna.
Oh, I had a question for you guys. There must have been an episode that I had missed, or a series of episodes that I had missed from the Clone Wars. Apparently, there was a disfigured clone called Clone 99.
Yeah, he was like the janitor at. On Camino.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was the Bad Batch were they named after him because
Yeah.
they were also okay. All right, that's very cool. I kind of wish that they would have kind of mentioned them at some point sooner than in the Clone Wars to kind of tie that together a little bit better. That would have been very interesting. It's a shame that they waited until the last season to introduce them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, 99 died.
Yeah. I heard his name get brought up today in some video. I'm like, what? Who the hell is this dude?
Yeah, when he killed in the trials by Tarkin. In those trials, when they had in that little area of the training.
Oh, did
center.
Tarkin kill him? Jeez.
No, I think he got killed during one of the episodes, one of the exercises.
Oh wow, that's messed
That's
up.
what I think, to be sure.
Yeah, they definitely hit the emotions when he passed away. That was rough.
Well, I guess I'll have to go back and watch it.
Well, you want a far look? It's one of the first episodes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's still a lot of Clone Wars episodes that I haven't watched. Once I finally did get around to it, this was like after it finally wound up back on Disney Plus. I didn't watch it when it was on air. I think I was in the Army at that point. I wasn't watching TV, so.
That's right. Attack on Show and Fatherly Fandom. It was when Ventress attacked Camino.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so since I've gone, the episodes that I have watched of the Clone Wars have been like whenever I'm, just kind of cycling through and I'm like, oh, that sounds like a fun arc, and then I'll watch that. Or I want to find out like when such and such character appeared. Oh, let me watch all of these episodes related to them. So that's how I've watched the Clone Wars. What you guys recommended, that you guys said skip the Jar Jar episode, so I have. And you said skip the droid episodes, and so I did.
I watched
Oh,
them. I'll
wise.
never watch. I wanted to say I got through them, but I'll never watch them again. Those droid episodes.
Well, I took your warnings, and that's the way that I did it. Back during the beginning of the pandemic was when I was like, well, we've got the new season of the Clone Wars coming out. I should probably catch up and figure out like what this is all about.
Like, this is how you remind me.
This is how you
There you go.
remind me of what I
Nickelback.
really am. Oh God, I came down with it.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Look at this photograph.
Oh
That's
dear
funny.
God! Please, Doug, stop! For the love. Oh my!
Because we all just want to be big rock stars.
Oh, I hate that song. He never shuts up in that song.
It's funny.
that's-
Fatherly Fandom says a lot of people recommend skipping the first two seasons if you want to get into it. I stopped watching the Clone Wars during the first season because I was so bored.
I
I was
remember
like,
the
this is
animation
just not
being
good.
very rough.
And my brother, well, his boys are much older now, but he was watching it with his boys. And I remember I was talking to him one day, and he's like, "You still watching Clone Wars?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "You might want to pick it up again." And I was very happy I did because it definitely picked up in quality after the first couple seasons. I mean, they really, the whole, Maul and Savage Opress.
Damn, Joe Brace.
It's weird going back and watching because I went back and I watched that episode of where, like Maul first shows up and he's got his spider legs and like, wow, they really started like drawing his character much better because in his earlier appearances he had the like super long horns and he looked really over the top and ridiculous. I'm like, I am so glad they fixed that. I
Me
just
too.
wish that after seeing the way that they made what's his name? Oh my god, friggin' oh, the graybeard dude,
You talking about Dooku?
Dooku, yeah. The way they made Dooku look in not Visions, in Jedi Tales of the Jedi. The way they made Dooku look there, I really wish that that would have been closer to the way that he had looked in Clone Wars. Because in Clone Wars, it was like very cartoony. He had such a long face. It was like,
Why the long face?
Ah!
And yeah, and yes, Attack on Show. I do agree there are some important episodes in those first two seasons. I did go back and watch them,
Uh-huh.
but it started out a
all.
bit slow.
I did like them all. And when I first started watching them, they were on Netflix. And then when it switched over to Disney, that's when I finished them off.
See, I never watched them on Netflix. I watched like one or two episodes back when it first aired on Cartoon Network. I watched it there, and again the animation was super rough, and I'm like, no, it's not for me. It's kiddie cartoon.
Yeah, and some people.
I also
some people
didn't
that
like the
watch-
prequels. I thought that that's the way that it would be too.
Yeah, they're talking like it's just animation. I can't watch it. No, there's a deep story here. This is a probably deeper story than, like, a definitely deeper story than Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they did
Yes.
they did Boba Fett really good in the Clone Wars too.
They did.
I like the fact that he's pissed off about losing his father and becomes a little terrorist. That's great.
that's the way it should. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Once again, we'll see, Boba and Omega are pretty much brother and sister, but the different ways they were raised, I think, is going to show how different of people they actually are. If we do get Omega in live action, during the Mandalorian times.
I would really like to see that. I think that would be great.
Do you think you would recognize her right off? Like,
I doubt he ever met her.
I feel like I know you, type of thing.
I don't know how many people even knew she existed because you never saw her in the Clone Wars. So,
Right.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
how many people on Camino even knew that she was around?
Like, he didn't know
They-
about her, but he just feels it when he meets her. That's what I think.
Like a connection.
Yes.
I don't know.
Or we'll find out maybe her and Echo are working with Ahsoka, during Rebels and everything else, and doing side missions and doing other things. So
Yeah.
maybe Omega has a connection with Ahsoka because if she is force sensitive, hopefully someone trains her a little bit.
I hope so. God, could you imagine like Wrecker trying to like struggle through? Oh, okay, kid. I think I remember the Jedi. They moved things with the mind. Oh, all right, kid, do it. Just move that. Yeah, all right.
That's why she can't do it like Gunji, but she still can do it because she has no guidance. All she needs is a little bit of guidance. At some point, she's going to find it.
And it won't be Wrecker. But if they do have Wrecker in live action, I hope Dave Bautista plays him.
Yeah, there's a character that is goofy that he can agree with.
Yeah, definitely get an Avengers type crew. Gunji, Omega, Ahsoka, Ezra, Luke, and Mando.
Oh, that'd be
I do
great.
think there's a good chance that Ezra has been dabbling in the dark side out in the
Oh, I
outer
think
rim
so.
with Thrawn. So I don't know if he'll be a part of that team. I guess he could be the anti-hero. Can we like,
Space
will you
whale.
stop force choking people? We're good guys. We get the job done.
I could totally see Ezra coming back and just being completely mental, like the friggin' Joker of the Star Wars universe.
Man, you don't even like Ezra.
I don't. That's why I wanted to become like a complete psycho.
He could really be the Sabaoth, the
The what?
crazy Jedi clone from Heir to the Empire from the Timothy Zahn books. Instead of being a crazy clone, he'll just had, kind of got crazy hanging out with Thrawn. Thrawn kind of manipulated him.
And then when they finally stop him, it'll be Sabine that has to give the killing blow,
Yeah,
and she's
Yeah,
she's gonna look away with a tear in her eye and blast him.
Because Kanan's
Yeah.
gone, and that 10 times.
Yeah.
and yes, fatherly fandom. I thought that Ezra was going to end up being Snoke too.
Really? You thought Ezra was gonna be Snoke?
I did, only because
Yeah,
of like,
I
okay, they're
remember- Yeah, I think I remember you saying that before we went to see Rise of Skywalker.
I'm glad they did.
no, I'm glad they didn't too, especially now if we're getting them in live action. I just thought he's off in space. They're gonna somehow have him. He came back, and which has a lot to do with why I think Thrawn manipulates him to use the dark side a little bit more, because we don't know what's going on when they went out there. He may need what he thinks is additional power, and the dark side is a quick path to that power.
Don't
And yes,
forget the space
yes,
whale.
Sierra. Yes, Sierra, we are still talking the Bad Batch.
It's crazy. So I went back and I did watch those episodes of Rebels, and the space whales, whatever they're called,
The Purgle? Is that what
Purple,
they're
yeah,
called?
they shoved their tentacles through the windows of the spaceship. Technically, Ezra and Thrawn should not still be alive.
But it's the
That's
force from
true.
the space whales that kept them alive.
Huh?
It's the force from the space whales that kept them alive.
Oh, okay, sure.
You gotta suspend some disbelief. I mean, we had Mary Poppins in The Last Jedi, so If-
I
if-
guess if I have to accept magic space whales and the world between worlds, then sure, why not?
Princess Leia is breathing out in outer space. I mean, they can do it too.
They really should have. They really, really should have used that opportunity to take her out of the series in the right way. Give her a little bit of dignity. Not have her Mary Poppins her way back into the ship. That was stupid.
That was pretty bad. That's one of many things I don't like about that movie, but I know you guys like it, so I'm not going to go into it.
I said I like parts of it. I do not like the whole thing. It has its problems. I'm willing to admit that.
And don't forget to hit us up at Twitter, leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.